I have post errands to do once again. And it's raining. It's been raining all day. I have no umbrella. Are you surprised that this guy has no umbrella? I need to invest in one. I don't really mind being out in the rain if it's just a drizzle. Sometimes it can be quite nice actually, but I don't want to get wet before going into stores. That's not so nice. I'm listening to Cali Malone. It's beautiful, but people are praising it so highly. I'm thinking that I must be missing something. Anyway, I just filmed my first update with the new tripod, so this one is gonna be thrown away because it's broken. But that was kind of it's always nerve-wracking filming updates because they're not casual. Like these vlogs are casual. I can just talk about whatever. Well, not really, but you know, I mean, I don't feel pressured when I make them. But the vlogs, I feel all this pressure. I mean, the updates, I feel all this pressure. I really shouldn't. I'm just talking about films that I like. But at this fucking mess here it's a corner of crap that I never think about. But it's like a graveyard for old headphones. I don't know why these are still here. They're so dusty too. Look at that. So I'm gonna clean up a bit for once. Well, I haven't heard that sound in a while. That's a VHS tape, hopefully rewinding, or I don't really know what's happening. I'm trying to make sense of. This is a player that my grandmother had, and well, we fixed. Maybe I talked about this before, but she moved last year, and I think I might have mentioned this in a recent video. Anyway, I brought home a VHS player with me, and I have these old tapes from my childhood that I thought I would see if I could watch, because I haven't seen those in a while. So I am just kind of crossing my fingers because this tape has not been played in I don't know how many years. So it's not a sure thing that it's gonna work, but no, I'm not really having any luck. I'm pressing play and I'm getting static, and then it just kind of stops. So I don't know. The tape might be ruined at this point. It might not be. And then this happens, the screen. So oh well. Well, luckily it doesn't seem like it's the tape itself, because I tried another tape here and I have the exact same problem. So I think it's the player that won't play the tapes. I don't know. I mean, I just have a SCART and a power cord, so there might be something else that's necessary. But I mean, something is coming up, so, and there's audio, so I feel like I don't know if anyone smarter than me knows. Maybe I need. I mean, this is the DVD side, so I don't know if I need either of these for that side if I'm playing a VHS. I mean, you know. I don't know. But these were the only chords that I could find.
A language if you can. Right. You have dogs, right?
Yeah.
Do you
just talk to him.
You don't do
He
that.
hardly ever barks. He very, very, very rarely barks. He'll bark if he has to go outside, like if he has diarrhea. He'll bark. Like, Rob will go by the door and go, "Rob, fuck, Trent, help me out."
Whoa.
Or he'll bark if he sees something. He do what he used to bark. Carl's done, huh? Wow.
Today's workout sucked.
Now he wants a
I'm so tired. So I've sort of become desensitized to spiders over the years because I've had so many here. But I do try and catch them if they're slightly bigger. This one is not too big though. But I still, if I can avoid having to worry about this one potentially crawling on me, then I will do that. They always crawl, when I release them, they always crawl to the left and in here, like towards this part of the outside. I wonder why. It's always the same path. I need to get rid of this stuff. I made some progress yesterday with the editing. I had this sequence that I was looking forward to putting together for one of the big videos that's coming up, and I was so excited about how that turned out. And I wanted to upload it separately because it would sort of make sense as a separate video. But I have to pace myself and wait. But I might release that as a separate video later on. Something really cool, actually, something I've never done before. So I'm really happy with this editing, and I'm really gonna put in a lot of work over the next couple of weeks because I wanna try and get this ready. But I'm sort of, I don't know what's gonna happen when this is gonna be done because I've spent so much time with this. Again, I have nothing to show for it so far. So, I mean, what do you know, right? I could be making this up. But believe me, I've spent a lot of time over the past month or so editing, going through footage. I have all these ideas, and I'm just terrified of this actually coming together into something that even if I'm gonna be happy with it, to then have it out and to have to move on from this project that's been something I've officially done, reused all this footage, done something with it, and now that's over with. What now? Or to have it finished and not be satisfied with it. Either way, the idea of having gone through all the footage and be done with it kind of terrifies me. But I do, after these two main videos that I have planned, there's likely going to be a bunch of bonus stuff later on, unboxings and random stuff, and stuff that experiments that I had over the years that never materialized, and so there's gonna be plenty of content from the hard drives. It's just it's been taking up so much of my mental energy lately. I haven't been able to really think about much this weekend at all, other than this. And I've slept really poorly. I think this might be some kind of record for me. I edited down, god damn it, every time I say that fucking word, I swear, edited down a 116-minute vlog from June 2016 down to 11 minutes 1 second. I think that must be some kind of record. Today has been a bit of a shitty day. I've been really struggling today with all kinds of things, just not finding any pleasure with anything, and I'm just always so physically uncomfortable. Like, if you could see my legs now shaking. I've always had restless legs, but they've gotten worse as I've gotten older, and I can never get comfortable. I'm lying here in my couch, and I realized that I really need a new couch because I've been sitting this one down, but I have no resources for a new one at the moment, and I feel like somehow my bed is becoming uncomfortable, which it really isn't. My bed is the same, but I struggle so much with just being comfortable physically. Like, I'm always so fucking uncomfortable. Mentally, I can feel at peace once in a while nowadays. I'm not always anxious, and my mind is not always racing, so that's at least nice. Sometimes it is, though. Today was actually a pretty early this morning. I went out for some errands, then I got home and I went to sleep. But before that, I had a really bad moment of angst, actually. Then I was able to sleep for a few hours, and I got some more work done, and now I'm just lying here. I don't know what to do with myself, really. I feel like that's the biggest problem right now, which it really isn't. But the couch and the restless leg things, it's just so hard to be comfortable, and you wanna, when everything is done, and you wanna sit down and relax and feel comfortable. You don't wanna feel like the place where you're supposed to feel comfortable is giving you these signals of the opposite. As soon as you think about sitting down in my couch, as soon as I start thinking about sitting down in my couch right now, I mean, it might look comfy when I'm lying down like this, but I'm really not, and I really need to find a way to. I don't know. I was just reminded. I mean, my sister. I found out that my sister is moving soon, which is very nice. I'm happy for her. She's gotten a new job and things, and so I need to help with the move. And of course, I'm always there for a family member in the case of a move, and I always have been, but I always just dreaded it. It's always I just don't like. I mean, I would much rather work out intensely for the same amount of hours than having to move. It's the way I feel sometimes. I just don't. I don't know. But I will obviously help. But it reminded me of last year when me and my mother so I mentioned in a previous video that my grandmother moved. I actually haven't seen her in a couple of years, so I had a pretty bad experience on my 30th birthday. We kind of clashed a bit, and we never clashed before in my life. So that was unfortunate, but we haven't seen each other since then. And she's doing okay, but she's at a retirement home. Memory is faltering a little bit. But she also seems to have selective memory. I mean, some things she remembers really well. I talked to my mom a lot about this. I don't need to get into details. I'm not going to divulge everything, obviously. But I did want to mention that last year, I'll show you a clip that I filmed from my grandmother's apartment in 2023 in July. So what you're seeing now is the kitchen and then the hallway, and then I'm eventually going into her workroom and then the living room. Believe me, it might look like a lot of things. I regret not filming more in detail, because not that I want to reveal. It might seem like I'm invading on her privacy by filming more than I did, and so maybe that's a good thing. And anyway, but my point is that she had so much stuff, and the video doesn't really communicate that. It really doesn't. She had just stuff and stuff and stuff everywhere. I think she had drawers of hundreds, if not, I think thousands of postcards over the years. She had saved just about everything, and we had to throw a lot of this stuff out and decide what to save, what to throw out, and then okay, how do we throw this out? How do we structure all this? We had to, there were a bunch of metals and plastics and wood and all kinds of materials in the same places, and so much sorting. I think we spent between June and August, or July and September or something like that, for a couple months, every weekend, every Saturday and most Sundays, for several hours each time. We spent so much fucking time. We went to the landfill, I think 25 or 30 times, and we had a pretty significant drive to get there, like 15 minutes each way, and then 15 minutes back, and multiply that by 30 or something like that. So but all this work, I quickly got into the rhythm of it, and we talked about this, me and my mother. She would pick me up on the Saturday, and we would go over there to my grandmother's apartment, and for me, it became a bit of a project. It was kind of interesting to a certain extent to see what we're gonna find now, and to sort through things and go through old memories. And I would find something, and I would ask my mom, "Oh, what's this? Do you know what this is, or do you remember this picture?" Or things like that. And it was a lot of frustrating moments. Like the beginning felt really overwhelming when I just looked around, and it's just, you have to take a deep breath and realize how much work there is to be done. Because it was more than just a move. If you're just gonna move things to a new apartment, then that's one thing. But if you have to figure out what to do with everything, because my grandmother, she couldn't bring a lot of things with her to the retirement home. She could only bring a very, very small part of what she had. So most of the stuff we had to throw away, but a lot of the things we've kept in our storage rooms. But despite the frustrating moments, it was nice to just hang out with my mom. I see her most Fridays for dinner, and I have ever since I moved 8 years ago. I've seen my mom for most weekends, and that's, if you asked me 8 years ago if I thought that was going to continue for this long, I would have probably assumed that it would. But it's nice that it has. That I don't see that changing. so it's I do see my mom frequently, but we don't see each other in the sense that we did those weekends. So she would pick me up. We would go over to the apartment. Well, I said this. We would go over the things, and it gave me a bit of a purpose, and it was nice to have a project to work on. It was nice to get out and do things, so to a certain extent, because I've been doing my own thing for so long, and it was nice with some, even though it was kind of frustrating and demanded physical work and mental work, and all this stuff. It was something that I look back on, and I have lunch with my dad as well. That's another thing that we have had a habit of doing for many years, more than 8 years, and we still see each other for lunch, not every week, but maybe once a month. And I remember I told him, like, I actually like seeing my mom on Saturdays and getting this work done, because it makes me feel like I'm doing something of worth. I'm helping out, and I'm needed, and my mother has been so good to me over the years, so I feel like that was part of, like, me repaying something to her, whatever I can do to help you in this situation. And I don't know what we would have done without each other in that moment. How that stuff would have been gotten rid of any other way, if me and my mom wasn't able to do it together. When we went over to there were some really difficult moments. I remember certain moments you just wanna, no matter how old you get, you just wanna, fall through the earth and disappear. We had to move things to my grandmother's apartment, and I mentioned that I have hyperhidrosis in the last vlog, which means that I sweat a lot, and that can be quite uncomfortable. Recently, I haven't been sweating as much, although the past few days I've noticed that the back of my shirt has been kind of soaked, which is just, I think it's just fucking humid as hell right now. But I don't sweat too much, even in the summer these days. The weight loss has had something to do with that, of course, but last year I was a bit heavier, so I would sweat more than I do now, even though I do sweat now as well. Anyway, so we had to go over to the retirement home, move a bunch of things in July, and it was so warm, and I was drenched, and I was like literally like sweat pouring all down my face. We had to go in there, so many trips to the room and back into the car and to the room, and people watching me every time I went in there, and just feeling like, these moments are, nobody's gonna remember them at that place, a few days later, but I just feel like I wanna die. So it can be simple things like that sometimes that does it. Just me being sweaty and feeling disgusting and just wanting to disappear, and I can't believe that I'm standing here with this furniture and chit-chatting, with my mom to somebody, and I'm in the state that I'm in, and anyway. I actually haven't seen my grandmother in a couple of years, since my 30th birthday. We had a bit of a clash, which never happened before, but my grandmother has been a bit of a complicated person, and something just happened. Something she said on my birthday. I never get annoyed, but I got really annoyed, and I walked out, and then she was upset with me after that, and I said to her, I don't think it's okay what you just said. And she would have been 90 at the time. So, and I thought to myself, maybe I'm overreacting, maybe I'm being childish, storming out like that, because that is very unlike me. But unfortunately, we haven't seen each other since that day, and I think that needs to be changed. I don't know. I don't know how long she's gonna be alive. I've said recently, not recently, no, I've said many years ago that I always consider myself lucky to have all my 4 grandparents alive. And I know I said this after my grandfather died. I said that in some blog, because I'm doing all of this reflection now. So I'm reminded of all these moments, things I've said over the years, because I have to watch them now for these projects that I'm doing. And anyway, so I realized that I said this many years ago, and it still stands. Because after my grandfather died in 2017, I said, I'm so thankful to have the rest of my 3 grandparents alive. And now, 7 years later, they are still all alive, those 3. I mean, my grandfather died in 2017, but my other 3 are still alive, and they're doing well. My grandfather is 88. Both of my grandmothers are 93. Again, my grandmother on my mother's side, she's at a retirement home, but she's doing. I mean, she is not ill physically. And my other grandmother, she's doing really well. I haven't seen her in a while either. She's a lovely person. I don't know why I don't see her more often. It's my own struggles that prevents me from contacting people, unfortunately. If there's one thing I could change about myself, it would be that my antisocial tendencies of shutting myself in and not reaching out to people enough. My grandfather on my mother's side. I mean, I saw him last weekend, and he's struggling a bit physically with his back. He's really quite in pain. When I ask him how he's doing, he always says, "I'm not doing so well," because he is in a lot of pain. Up here, he's still sharp, but it's difficult to see him in so much pain sometimes. And every time he gets up, he really struggles badly, and I'm always worried that he's gonna fall. But man, I am ever so grateful, even if I don't see most of them as often as I should. They only have so many years left. I mean, they're all healthy, more or less, but anything can happen at that age. They could also live to 100. I wouldn't be too surprised if one of them does. But anything can happen, and I do sometimes need to remind myself of the kind of heavy fact that I have. Maybe this is completely inappropriate, but I have 3 funerals ahead of me that I will have to attend. And it's nice to have them all alive, but then you realize that they are getting older, and it's just something that as the years, with every year that passes by, the more you kind of realize that you really do need to see them more often if you really wanna. Well, I should see them more often. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I can reveal to you that when I got home from the errands early this morning, I turned on the camera and I started talking about some pretty heavy stuff, and I started to cry. And I don't really know that I want to include that. Everything that I've filmed so far, I have second guessed myself a lot, and I have been embarrassed about a lot of things, but deciding to upload anyway. That one thing, I think. I don't want people to be concerned for me with the things that I said. It just kind of everything came crashing down, and it just reminded me of certain things in life that I really do struggle with significantly. And I realized that these struggles are real. It's not something you can say that, oh, I had a bad day, but I got over it. Sometimes you're reminded of the way things actually are, and seeing things for what they are, and realizing somehow that I'm not really exaggerating things. They really are quite bad. So I talked about a bunch of things that for the first time in these videos, I am not going to include it, because I feel like I don't know that I think if I were to include it in the vlog, people would probably, I'm probably making too much of it, but I did say some things that I talked about some things that I've never talked about before when it comes to struggling with not suicidal ideation. It's not that, but sometimes life can get so hard that it's difficult to see another solution in your absolute most desperate moments. It's difficult to see how you can possibly escape from this stuff in any other way. Um, it's I just think a lot of people think about these things, and maybe many people are afraid of actually throwing them out in the open, because I certainly am, because I never wanted to talk about these things. I never wanted to say the word suicide, because I never wanted to worry anyone. I never wanted anyone to think that I am suicidal, because I'm not. But sometimes I just think to myself that I made a joke once on a forum when somebody asked, like, how do you think you will die? And my response was heart attack or suicide. But I was sort of not joking. That was the thing. This was well over 10 years ago. So somewhere up here, I've always somehow known that who knows how it's gonna end. But that doesn't mean that I'm suicidal. It just means that I'm struggling significantly with certain things. And sometimes they get so difficult that the energy of frustration that builds in here and in the body, it's so difficult. Like, how do I possibly release this? I can work out. That's only gonna do so much. What can I do? I can talk to somebody. Well, that could be helpful, but I always feel I struggle with communication, and I always feel like I'm not getting anything out of conversations, of therapy, and of trying to discuss things, because it's just a web of I don't even know, of convoluted, confused thoughts up here that are screaming to get out. And whenever I try to attack this beast, I'm always defeated instantly, and I realize that whatever the problems are up here that I really want to try and get out, I struggle really badly with actually trying to get those things out. It's like trying to push too many stuffed animals from through a tiny door opening. It's just a bottleneck, and nothing gets out, and more and more and more is pushed from behind. And maybe one little animal plops out here and there, but then you're left with this energy that's built up, and it's got nowhere to go. So sometimes for me it's just easier to not even attempt it. And so when these things, it can be communication, trying to communicate something. Well, I guess I said that communication can be a good way to release this energy that builds up, but then for me it just creates more bad energy somehow. So if I jump back a bit, then another trick, or beyond working out and communication, could be just going out for a walk, or it could be listening to some music, or it could be just cleaning, or just getting up and doing something practical. It could be drinking alcohol, which is a bad idea. It's yeah, I don't know. It's interesting that me finding out that my sister was gonna move, just thought I would turn on the camera. One thing leads to another. This is why it's helpful for me with a camera, being able to bring this out, because this is my this is my way of working things out for myself, to a certain extent anyway. And sometimes it doesn't really work out, but sometimes you kind of can make sense of some things, and this is my only way of doing that, unfortunately. Maybe this is my most effective way of dealing with this energy, but when it really builds to significantly, there's really no way of dealing with it other than just collapsing underneath it. But I don't really collapse physically in that sense. I mean, years ago I would get kind of depressed about things, and I would lie down on the floor. I would turn the vacuum cleaner on, and I would just lie there in the darkness. It was the most fucking depressing shit. And I don't do that anymore. So some things have certainly improved, and I've learned how to deal with some things better. But just certain days, man, it just becomes so overwhelming, and it can be one little tiny thing that triggers it, and then it's just difficult to push it back down. But I remember in 2014, I struggled really badly with anxiety, and that was the first time. And I could never say this to anyone because I was too afraid to make anyone concerned, because that's never something I wanted to do. So instead I keep things in here, and that's not a good idea. But I had problems with anxiety in 2014-15, and I thought to myself in a very kind of abstract way, actually, because I wasn't really able to fully attack this concept, but I thought to myself, somehow, if this angst gets more intense, more difficult, or if it doesn't stop, then I'm not saying I'm gonna kill myself, but I'm saying that I don't know what to do, basically. And that same thing happened last year in 2023 for the first time in all those years, which really upset me. And I actually had to go to the I don't even I don't know what it's called in English. The psych ward is not the word. It's not the right word, right? It's the emergency psychiatrical wing at the hospital, whatever. I don't know. But I had to go up there in as an emergency late at night because I had such bad anxiety, and maybe I can get into exactly what happened in another video because this has been going on for long enough as it is. Although with watching all these old vlogs, there are some vlogs where I'm just rambling for literally like an hour and a half, and it's like 10 minutes is worth using. The rest of it is just blah blah blah. So I'm not quite there yet in these new videos, but maybe soon. Where was I? I was gonna say, I lost my train of thought. Let me watch the video back and let me continue that. Okay, so I was just talking about going up to the psychiatry place, and yes, so you're right. So I can talk about exactly what happened in another video, but I had such bad anxiety that I couldn't stop shaking, and my skin, noticed my skin turned red, and I didn't know what to do with myself. It was anxiety, some kind. I've always struggled with existential anxiety. I would have to refer to it as. I think is that the exact way that I phrased it just now before. Anyway, but yeah, it manifested physically somehow. It resulted in me feeling like I was constantly falling, like a constant feeling of being in free fall. I can't really get into it, but the short story is that it was so bad, so difficult to deal with, that I had to go up there, and I don't even know exactly what helped in the end. I guess just acknowledging that this is something I'm having problems with and talking about it, but just kind of dealing with it on my own, and kind of letting, because it was like a spike of anxiety when this one thing dawned on me, and then I had to deal with that somehow, and then it just had to subside, and I don't know, but those were maybe the most difficult weeks of my life. Last year was actually the worst year of my life so far in terms of dealing with anxiety, which I never thought that it would take until my 30s until I could say that, okay, this is the worst year of my life so far. That's one of the things that moving helped me with, because it allowed me to allowed me to stay busy with something. And when we were doing that, I wasn't really feeling anxious because I was doing something. But for the first half, especially of 2023, and then it just kind of lingered, and it wouldn't really subside, but it was better for the last half of 2023. But the first half of last year was so many things, one thing after the other, but especially this main thing, like I said. And then my tinnitus got really bad, and I was starting to get really worried and anxious about that. I couldn't focus on movies because I would always hear the ringing, and then I would feel like the feeling of wanting to escape, but having nowhere to escape to. I want to escape from this fucking beat because it's driving me crazy. But now it's gotten a lot better with that, I have to say. I think there's more things to discuss here, but I remember my mom. She once had a book written by somebody, I don't know who, maybe an autobiography, and it was called something like "I don't want to die, but I don't want to be alive." And I remember when she showed me that book 10 years ago, maybe more, I genuinely felt that like I can relate to that, but I couldn't dare saying that, because what does that entail? I don't want to be alive, but I don't want to die either. Well, you gotta make a choice. You gotta make up your mind. But that's probably the most horrific thing that I can imagine, being stuck between wanting to live or not wanting to live and not wanting to die, and not knowing how to make sense of what to do in that situation. But I mean, I don't know. I haven't had a lot of anxiety 2015 onwards compared to what I did before that for a couple of years. I suppose so. But until last year, like I said, or until a couple of years ago, maybe. Anyway, this is going on for too long, and I think I've said what I needed to say. But yeah, the way this thing can create, you open up a door and you see something profoundly terrifying, and you want to close the door, but the image from what you saw in that room up here, you can't shake that really. But why is it that this thing is so powerful, and can create such terrible hindrances, literally crippling obstacles that seem impossible to get over? I don't even know what there's no television shows to watch now that I like, and I'm not really interested in movies, unfortunately. Like, I try to get into it, but I'm not interested. I don't know what to do. I've just been working on the videos recently. I've been listening to music. I've been watching YouTube. But beyond that, I haven't done anything for enjoyment. Kind of saddens me that I've lost the film part. Because film means so much to me. I don't know where I would have been without film. Being able to, I've always said that it's like fueling up something, my desire to live, or it's like, it's watching films, it kind of it inserts color again into my immediate surroundings, and then those colors fade, and then I have to watch more films, and it just blossoms back up. But for some reason I can't do that. I can't watch films, right? I struggle to get back into it, and I think I've been a little bit depressed lately. I'd rather be depressed than anxious, because I can deal with that easier. Anxiety, this energy that maybe people refer to these words differently, but for me, anxiety is this intense energy that I can't deal with, and it's becoming torture, literally torture. And depressed moods for me are certainly not fun, but they are a bit more manageable. Although that might also mean that I've not experienced true depression, which is probably true. But for whatever, as far as my own experiences go, right now, I do feel, compared to certain moments in life, compared to the past few years, 2017 to 2021, maybe I was doing pretty well. I would have to say. Then after that, it's been more difficult. But I'd like to get back to the way I felt, man. Just some of this, the brain chemistry just kind of changes sometimes, and you kind of you want to go back to how you felt. Like, oh, I can remember the feeling that I had all those years ago, and I remember how I felt. I want to, anyway, I can't really put those things into words, but I want to get back to that. I want to feel life like that again. Okay, just to get a further glimpse into my viewing habits, this is like what I live for sometimes, or a lot of the time. Like Devin Larratt and Brian Shaw meeting up for a video. Like this is, I love these YouTube collabs between these, you know, the clashing of the different strength sports, strength athletes, a strongman and an arm wrestler, and you know this has been something that you know all you know a bunch of people have done over the years in you know throughout these sports, CrossFit as well, and powerlifting and bodybuilding. Larry Wheels has a great channel for that. Juji Mufu over the years, he was always great with those videos. Man, I still love these kinds of videos of these strength athletes meeting up and chatting and doing stuff. It's just so nice in here with the white noise and the smell of the sheets and the warmth. It's dirty, but that's okay. I've always loved drawing rooms. Whenever I have to wash my sheets and blankets and stuff, I always just sit down here for a while, and then I never want to leave. That always comes up somehow. So I always get like a satisfying snap whenever I can press that down again. And I'm watching GeoWizard. I remember when I discovered the straight line across England a few years ago. It was recommended to me a few days after the upload, and I was just mesmerized. It was just such a simple concept, but his personality, his editing, it's all him. Like nobody could make these videos like he does. I love them, and he still does them because they're popular. I guess it's what made him be able to pay the bills. I mean, I don't know shit about that, but that's what I assume, because they became really popular. Sorry, I think Wales is the first one he did, not England. I do have to say, I mean, as much as I enjoy this now, over the past couple of years, I have felt that I haven't enjoyed them as much anymore, because he's made so many of them, and it's not really as special as it was in the beginning. But it's still a cool concept, man with nature. You never know what you're gonna come across. Essentially, he's walking in a straight line, and that's the whole concept. That he can't divert from the line or whatever. This is my new favorite path on my way home from dinner with my mother. I always took the same path, but now I just thought for a while ago I thought that I would walk by the river instead at sunset, and it's so much nicer. So this is my new thing, I guess. Although now the rain starts. It's been so rainy all week, or for a couple of weeks really. I don't really mind. Here's the local football stadium, where I haven't been since I was a kid because I'm not interested. But sometimes you hear roaring and you figure, oh, okay, there's a game on tonight. It is, I think, past 2 a.m. now, and I'm working out because I haven't been working out a lot lately. I worked out on Tuesday, and then on Saturday, and before that it was Monday, and today's Friday. So if I work out today, tomorrow, and Sunday, that's gonna be 6 workouts in 2 weeks, which is, I guess, is okay. But it's, you know, I've been slacking a little bit, but I've really been working hard on other stuff, and I've really found it difficult to energize myself for working out, and I've really been trying to cut down on the calories, so I've had less energy, and it's kind of hard to balance like how much is the ideal amount of calories for me with what I'm trying to achieve. Like I want to lose weight, but I also want to be able to work out pretty hard. It's not entirely easy to find that balance. But my favorite workouts are the ones that take like an hour, where I just go bam, bam, bam from one thing to another. Usually I do like a burpee workout, maybe mixed with like some weights. But today I am just doing some dumbbell exercises because I was gonna skip the work. I wasn't gonna work out. I mean, I realized that it's a strange time to work out, but I've been sleeping all over the place. Really all over the place. I slept like for 4 hours between midnight and 4 a.m. and then I slept in the afternoon for 1.5 hours, and I realized that I hadn't slept more than a few hours over the course of a couple of days, and then I had to catch up on sleep. And say, you know, I can never figure this stuff out. Never. It's just fucking hopeless. I mean, when I had a schedule, like an actual schedule, even then it was kind of difficult to sleep. But now, you know, I just kind of make up my own schedule, and it obviously makes it very much difficult. What was I gonna say? I thought I would push myself a little bit on the weights. I'll show you what I'm doing. I mean, I did include this in another video. Well, I haven't put that together yet, but maybe I'll put this in the same video. I don't know. But I'll show you what I'm doing. Let's see if I can get up to 40 kilos just for fun. So I used to be able to do a lot more. That stuff doesn't matter. But I have 30 kilos here on one dumbbell, and it's like 2 kilos for the bar. So if I can add another 8 kilos onto this and just do a couple reps on each side, see if I can do it, then I'll be happy. So I'll try to do that just for fun. Actually, you know what? I have like 36 kilos. So what I'm doing is I just do one hand at a time, one arm at a time. Partly because I don't have enough weights, but also it's difficult to get 2 dumbbells up from the floor and press both and then put them down lightly. Well, the main issue is the weight. I don't have enough really. But let's see. All right, so this might be too heavy with 36. I don't really know, but we'll see. The left side is always the most difficult for me. Oh, this is gonna be too... it's gonna be too heavy. Let's see. Okay, 40 is not gonna be doable today. Look at the right side though. The right side is always so much easier. It's kind of frustrating. I don't know if you can see here. That was kind of shit. I lost my path on the third one. I mean, that's definitely too heavy to work out with. I just want to see, like, I don't know, I just want to push myself. But I don't like doing these workouts where I have to wait between sets, because it doesn't, I don't know, I just get bored. It's not fun anymore. I used to spend like 2 hours at the gym every time, and it was just... I just don't like sitting around waiting. I want to get the workout done. It's not so much that I want it to be done. It's that I want to be effective, and I also want to feel that intensity and the post-workout feeling, the famous endorphins. I mean, I don't really get those unless I work out heavily like that. So anyway. Alright, so I wasn't filming, so I gotta say this again. The reason why I'm doing this now is just because I wasn't feeling it. I was tired. It's obviously 2 a.m., but that's no excuse, because I woke up at like 6 I think, or 5. So I just needed to do something, and I don't know, if I would have woken up at 8 a.m. it would have been 4 p.m. now, I guess. Would have been fine. It wouldn't be so psychologically straining to work out. But now, just because it's in the middle of the night, somehow a part of the brain tells you to sleep. I suppose you're not supposed to work out. I don't know. But so I just wanted to get started with something, I guess. But I'm not feeling this at all, so I'm gonna. I'll do some jumping jacks and some burpees, I guess. I'm not gonna film that, so I'll say bye bye for now.